yeah, never been on this road. That looks good. Oh, that looks even better. Yeah, the Africa Twin loves these roads. Oh, I fucking love this bike. Oh yeah, squirrely. Oh, nothing like this bike. Nothing like it. It is just a beast. But that said, yeah, it's got some problems. Some things I don't love. So, I gotta be honest, this is not clickbait, all right? I do love the bike. I do love it. It's better than any bike I've had, and I've had way too many motorcycles. But there are some things, there are still some gripes that I have that are annoying, you know, and it's something that it definitely should be addressed, I feel like. At least in this forum right here. So, let's get to it. Hey, Downstater here. So today I'm over at one of my favorite spots in Bucks County to discuss the bike behind me and the things I really don't like about it. Now, truth be told, this is not clickbait. I'm not going to sit here and trash on the bike. It's 5 things that are reasonable that I don't like, but overall, just to be clear, I do love the bike. It's truly phenomenal. I grew up kind of at the heels of a local motorcycle shop, and you know, I've had, not to brag, but just everything. I mean, we used to just, all the guys, all the shop, we all used to flip through bikes constantly, and I've been through the gamut, basically. Sport bikes, cruisers, adventure bikes, dual sports, you name it. I've probably owned it, and you know, whatever. And I can safely say that this is still my favorite bike by a long shot out of all the bikes I've had. That said, like I said, there are still some squawks that I cannot stand. So let's just get right into it. I'm not one for parsing things. The first thing I can't stand about the Africa Twin are the air filters. You know, there were some concessions made during the production and design of this bike that I'm sure were for good reasons by Honda engineers. You know, Honda, like I've said in other videos, they don't do things by accident, right? So there were likely reasons behind why these things were done, but needless to say, they are still frustrating, annoying, and just, in my opinion, a downfall to this bike. So the first thing I'll get to right away are the air filters. The air filters on an adventure bike should be accessible. I don't care what the bike is. You know, Triumph just finally fixed this with theirs. A couple others are finally addressing this. Honda, what the hell? The air filters on the Africa Twin are behind these front cowlings, and it is by far one of the worst designs I've ever seen. Is it impossible? No. Is it hard? No. Does it take 20 minutes to pull the cowlings off and do an air filter check? Yeah, and that's not right. Now, more than likely, like I said, there was undoubtedly a reason for this. You know, this bike, and I'll get to more of that in a minute, everything's kind of crammed into this bike. And they did that because they wanted to keep the center of gravity low. They wanted to make it feel like a dirt bike. And they succeeded in all of that. So again, there were concessions made, and they had to fit things where they would fit, basically. And I think that's what we're dealing with here. Another example of it is the battery. You know, 9 times out of 10 on most bikes these days, the battery and the air filter are under the seat. On this bike, not so much. The battery is actually behind here in a box, kind of right inside the motor, which is subjected to a bunch of heat. It's cocked sideways. It's a pain in the ass. The wires are cramped in there. Again, it's a concession. Is it a nightmare to get to? Is it a total disaster to deal with? No, not at all. It's just, it would have been nice to see more serviceability built into the bike, I guess you would say. We'll leave that at that. Not a big deal, but still something worth mentioning. The second thing I'm going to mention, and I believe I mentioned it in my original Africa Twin video, is the 12-volt outlet. It blows my mind that a $13,000 bike didn't come with a 12-volt outlet. It's just one of those things that, I mean, there's little, you know, $1,500 scooters you can buy right now that have a 12-volt outlet. So again, I don't know if this was Honda pinching pennies. I don't know if it was the accountants, the bean counters over there going, oh, we can save a couple here, a couple there. I don't know. Or maybe it was a ploy to get us to buy the extra stuff through the dealer and get the dealer some extra income. Again, I don't know, and honestly, I don't care. It was a dumb move. It's a slap in the face to somebody buying this bike. And all of the base model Africa Twins from 2016 to 2017, which is a 2017, they all did not come with a 12-volt plug. Again, I'm not quite sure about the new model. I would assume they probably fixed that because tons of people were complaining about it, but I can tell you for sure on this bike, it was not there, and on many others. I have a couple friends that own Africa Twins, about 4 guys that I know of that are good friends of mine, and none of us had the 12-volt outlet. And it's a $100 part. It's not the end of the world. It's not super expensive, but come on, Honda, what are you doing? It's a $13,000 bike. Put a damn plug in there. You know, it's there's nobody really riding without electronics these days, and it just should have been on. So we'll leave it at that. The third thing I'll mention is actually reliability. And I want to premise this by saying the bike is reliable. There are guys with, and women, when I say guys, I mean everything. There are people with 50, 100, 150. I think there's even a guy in Sweden with like 200,000 miles on his Africa Twin. Good for you, by the way. I love seeing that. And it's definitely a testament to Honda overall reliability. That said, there are some very well documented, consistent problems with this bike. A couple examples I can give. The front forks, for example, are definitely a known problem. They blow very prematurely. The seals inside are, I guess, a subpar material. It was probably something Honda overlooked. And, you know, I'm not going to like blast them for it, but it's not right. It's not good, and it should have been fixed. It should have been taken care of. And let's be honest, it wasn't. And not even in the 2017 or I believe the 2018, they were still having problems with them. So it's a known thing. I personally haven't had seals yet, and I am quite hard on the bike, so maybe I got a good batch. I don't know. What I did have happen, and I'll put a link in the description to this for there's a YouTuber that is a good friend of mine that helped me out fixing the bike. He's a mechanic, and anyway, long story short, I had my water pump blow out at around 11,000 miles, which, as we all know, that's way premature. That's insane. And before I get roasted in the comments, yes, I have read the service manual. Yes, I know that weep hole is supposed to weep here and there, and it'll dry up and get weepy. And okay, I read that. I got it. This was not that at all. When I was at a stoplight, when it was fully warmed up, it was just pissing coolant out on the ground, right? And blowing it all over the bike as well. So it was definitely a bad situation. I called Honda and verified with their tech. He said, absolutely, you have a bad pump. Bring it in. And they ended up doing me fairly solid. They gave me the pump for half price at my local dealer. And like I said, myself and NoNonsenseKnowHow actually did the install. And it's been fine since. And the install, I will also say, was not bad. You pull this case and the pump's right there, and a couple O-rings, a couple bolts, you're done. It was about a 2-hour job, not horrible. So it's frustrating, but not the end of the world. There are some reliability issues, but overall, I want to make sure I am clear about this. It is still a highly, highly reliable bike. More reliable, I would say, than most of the adventure bikes out there. It's still a Honda. There's still folks with tons of miles on them with no issues at all. So take what I'm saying carefully. It's not that I'm saying it's a piece of junk. There are just some documented, kind of common problems, which realistically that happens in all the bikes. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. So the fourth thing I'm going to talk about are the OEM heated grips. I am a big fan of OEM everything. I just feel like the manufacturers are typically buying the best products they can, and this is a situation where they did not. The OEM heated grips, at least for the 16 and 17 model year, are trash. I mean absolute trash. Yes, a couple people have had success with them, especially when they're not in cold environments, but if you're riding in the winter like I do, they tend to not heat up enough. There's differential heating. Sometimes the one will stop working. There were just a ton of very well documented issues with the stock heated grips. Again, this isn't my opinion. This is fact. Go around, do some research if you don't agree with me. There were lots of folks that were having problems with the OEM heated grips. Thankfully, Oxford's a great company. They've been making heated grips that I've been using forever, and I slapped them on right away. I never even bought the OEM heated grips because by the time I bought this bike, there were already so many complaints about them. I said, the hell with it. I'm not doing it. I'm not dealing with it. The Oxfords have always been good to me, and they have been quite good. So I'll leave it at that. That's the fourth thing. The fifth and final thing, again, it is fairly common, and again, is not my opinion. It's a fact. There is a wind buffeting issue with this bike. When you're about my height, I'm 5'10". I would say maybe 2-3 inches shorter than me, and maybe up to like 6'3". You're gonna have a wind buffeting issue. And believe it or not, it's not coming from the wind in front of you. It's actually coming up from the fork tubes underneath you, or kind of, you know, underneath your helmet. There is a design, I don't know if I'd call it an issue, because again, I'm not qualified to call it an issue, but it's not great, whatever it is. Basically, unless you do a taller windshield, which I hate because I ride off-road and I want to be able to see around the windshield, and I can't, it just obstructs my view. I hate taller windshields. The only other option is an air dam, which is a little piece of plastic that goes right here, kind of where the fork tunnel is. And it's not expensive. They're like $20, and they work wonderfully. So good news, it's a quick, easy fix. I'll leave the link for this in the description for that part, for the air dam, and you guys can order that if you want. It solved it completely. Like I said, I know 4 other guys that have this exact model, same year actually, all 4 of them, and they have all had the same issue. So it's not something I'm like, you know, just making up. It's definitely a legitimate problem. And it is, like I said, easily solved, so no big deal there. So that's the 5 issues I have with the bike. Like I said, otherwise, I love the bike. It's been phenomenal. I've owned tons of motorcycles, and this thing is just my go-to. I can just put mile after mile after mile on it. It's so comfortable. I can do anything with it. I can rip, you know, off-road, on-road, long haul, single track. It doesn't matter. This bike does it all beautifully, and I've just been a huge fan of it. So I want to make that clear. I'm not knocking the bike or Honda. It's just there are some things that I think we're going to find in all bikes that we do kind of hate. If you appreciate the video, definitely throw a like, subscribe, all that stuff. I definitely appreciate that. I've been getting a lot of good feedback and good comments and messages on Instagram and all that. And I really appreciate that, guys. Good ideas for new videos too. I had a couple come in, and that was pretty cool. Yeah. That's all I got for you. Stay tuned, though. There will be some more stuff in the next couple months. And ride safe. Take care, guys.